Okay. Is it good to go?
It is on.
Okay, awesome. Hi, my name is Daniela Nikolova, and I live in Moscow, Idaho currently. I just finished my bachelor's degree in molecular biology and biotech and biochemistry, and I also have one in psychology. And I am here because I'm a little concerned about the fate of Idaho, and as someone who is probably going to live here for the rest of my life, because I've been here for 28 years, and I'm probably going to be here through my kids' education, I firsthand know how incredibly important it is to have thorough science standards taught in high school and junior high. And as somebody who's also studied science comprehensively for the last 5 to 6 years, it's important to me that we as a population and as American citizens understand what our actions do to the environment. A good example of this is acidification of the ocean, which you don't hear talked about a lot, but we do have a reef problem right now where they are bleaching. And when the ocean acidifies too much, it's just like your body, where you have your blood that acts as a buffer, but if it gets to a too high or too low pH, it can completely destroy the system and ecosystems. And it's important that we educate our younger people to do that, because the minute they turn 18, they turn into a voting populace. And the minute they turn into a voting populace, if they're not educated in science, a comprehensive education in science, we're going to have an uninformed and dangerous voting populace. And I know that some people see this as a partisan gimmick and how climate change isn't real and people are making things up because we have snowballs that we can throw in Congress. But it is so important that we look at the things that have been happening in the last 10 years. I mean, just on the West Coast, there was a crisis. I listened to a lecture at the law school from a person who actually was called in as a scientist to help understand why the fishing industry was having problems with their fish and their stock dying. And the reason was because the oceans were too acidic to take in, like when the water is filtered through the hatcheries and stuff like that, it was too acidic and it was killing off shellfish on the West Coast. And we hardly hear about that, but this is a real problem and these are real consequences. And just because we don't hear about them doesn't mean that they're not happening. And I'm just here to say that it's important for us to talk about science and to treat it like a real object, because there are scientists all over the world that are doing silent work that is just so important, and it impacts every single moment of your life, and you don't even understand it because you don't have to think about it because somebody else does that for you. But in order for us to be able to educate our children and my children someday, we have to have those comprehensive science standards included in our education system. And that's all I've got.